everybody. Today I've got a really unique, one-of-a-kind Beastbox up for review, and that, of course, is BB-76 Lovegun. Now, a little bit of backstory on this particular figure. I think it was about a couple of years ago. This started off as an April Fool's joke. It was presented as an illustrated poster, and if I remember correctly, that poster actually had this figure listed as Peacemaker. I got to imagine that they probably looked at the reception they got off of that joke and decided to themselves, hey, that looks like a challenge. We'll just actually turn that into a real product that you could buy. And who knows how those things go. It could have taken them a couple of years to get some licensing or trademark issues resolved and to get the gun designed and built so it meets child safety requirements and that kind of thing before they could actually turn this into a product. Or at least that's more or less my guess of how it took a couple of years for this to come to market, but one way or the other. This was an April Fool's joke, and it's freaking fantastic. I can't wait to show this off. I'll just say this much, I played around with it a little bit before I started this video, and basically they pulled the joke off. It came full circle, and let's talk about it. So for this review, I'm going to touch on the box mode just a little bit. I'll talk about package details and its contents. I'll do a transformation demo from box mode into beast mode. Then we'll talk about those figure details. Then I'll do another transformation from beast mode into gun mode. And then I'm going to give this a box grade and I'll wrap it up with some closing comments. So let's jump right in. So first thing I want to note is the Boxcharger that I got is a little bit stuck. Every once in a while, I've had maybe a couple of these, maybe three, where the lid just doesn't really close very well. Usually they're very nicely built. This one is really stiff for some reason. It's really kind of hard to get open and closed. Most of the time I can do it with one finger, and this one I can't, or whatever. So every once in a while you get one of those with a manufacturing issue, I guess. What I will say about the box mode, at least this has been my experience so far, the thing you got to note about it is it does have a lot of thin panels and that kind of thing. And, you know, there is a little bit of flex and whatnot on it. We'll talk about this in more detail as this review progresses, but my concern is over time, we may wind up with some plastic wear, and it basically may not be able to hold its shape over time, just with the tabs and hinges that have to connect together and that kind of thing. So as far as the package, yeah, you got some beautiful package art here. Got a photo of Lovegun / Peacemaker sitting on himself, I guess, or a copy of himself. You got Beastbox 10th anniversary, and boy, did they start this year off with a bang. Got some details about bird to gun mode. Aviation Animal Faction symbol here, designed by X2R, 5T Toys' main in-house design team, and some more details and things about the figure. They're listing this as a 3-star difficulty transformation. We'll talk about that, of course, in a little bit. And some advertisements for some other recent figures. I've reviewed both of these so far, and I can put a link to both of these in the description if you want to check out those reviews. Hopefully without spoiling anything, I'll just say Godspeed, as far as I was concerned, is the best of the best. And Deathmatch here, the Black Ant, is another triple changer, although with more traditional implementations. So that particular figure wasn't based around a joke. That's the main impetus for this particular figure design. So anyways, yeah, that's some package details. As far as what comes in the box, you got your standard set. You got character cards and some catalogs and things. Yeah, I'm not going to pull this out right now, but nice looking card art of the bird. Just doesn't seem worth taking out of the package even to take a closer look at, because there's no bio on the back. So really nothing to look at other than the artwork. You got instructions, of course, and as shown on the box, you got a 5-pack of free collector cards. Because I'm a curious fella, I'm going to take a look at these real quick. Let's see what we got here. You got a Nightcrawler, and off the top of my head, I forget their names. We've got a Vaporwave, that's another one that I've done a review of. This one appears to be bony, and we've got a Jetsam. Boy, that one's a throwback. Altogether, yeah, pretty cool cards. But anyway, on to the main event. Now, something I want to point out real quick here, just something to note, is the instructions actually only came with one direction. So basically on one side, you'll have the instructions from beast mode into gun mode, and on the opposite side, it shows from beast mode into box mode. And it does actually say reverse the order to go back into the other mode. There have been a couple or a few beast boxes that do that. Typically for the instructions, they'll show the step-by-step transformation going both ways on the actual displayed instructions. And I would assume that in this case, just because it's a triple changer with a lot of steps, they opted to save a little bit of space or whatever. So no big deal, just something to note. So as far as this transformation goes, the first thing you're going to want to do is unplug these pieces. So basically, the whole structure is folded in half. They're connected by tabs, so you're just going to pull those apart, just like so. So generally what happens when I transform it away from its box mode, the bird head wants to pop out, and I don't think you quite want to have that out yet. I kind of prefer to leave that tucked in for now. Now we're going to start folding out the back half of the bird's body. So on each side, these pieces are basically folded in half, and you're just going to undo them like so. And then bring them around like that. We'll just do the same on the opposite side. Over and around, just like so. Then we'll bring it around and fold both of those sections together. So bring them out sideways like so. And they have opposing tabs here. So we're just going to connect them together just like that. They snap together just like so. Now one thing I failed to do is get this next section up and over. So I'm going to have to reverse my track slightly. And that's going to cause these pieces to separate. We're going to fold that up and over and around. So that basically the pointy part of these back end pieces are going to be pointed up towards the top of the body. And you'll have this neck piece roughly at about a 45-degree angle, something like that. And we're just going to connect them again together, and they come together just like so. The legs and feet are probably the most complex part of this figure as far as its transformation and overall joints and whatnot. It's not hard to do. Basically, you're just going to separate the toes from the interior of the bottom part of the leg, and it's just a tab and groove connection like that. And we'll just fold them around like so. Then we'll bring the leg down, and they are on a little bit of a sort of a ratcheting joint here. So we'll just notch that down like so. Bring the leg down and forward like that, and then you'll bring the toe around like so. Now, as far as the official configuration for this piece, the official transformation is they show you to have this piece face forward like so with the hollow bit out. I don't know, I kind of think that's a little bit lame looking. You can actually transform it and have this piece forward and then turn the toe around like that if you wanted to, and it works perfectly fine that way. I don't see any issue with that, but there again, just be aware that the hollow bit is supposed to face out for the official transformation. Aesthetically, that's a little bit wonky in my opinion. Yeah, we're just going to do the opposite leg, pull it out, bring it down, over and around like so, bring the leg forward, and I'm kind of slopping my way through it, but this is not a hard transformation, so it's easy for you to do. And then you got about that going on. So already this bird's able to stand up with its top half untransformed. So we're going to pull these back pieces up and over like so, and then you're going to fold them around about like that. Same on the opposite side, so you'll have to pull it out a little bit to get it around that notch there, and then pull it up and over, and you got about that going on. Now we're going to work on the wings. So there are these feather tips here that you're just going to rotate around 180 degrees like so. We'll do the same on the opposite side, just rotate them over and around 180 degrees. These pieces are connected together. They're thin panels obviously, and they have this long connecting tab here, so you're going to want to pull it apart kind of gently. So I would recommend getting your fingers right up in there and so that you can do it evenly, and then just pull it over and around like so. We'll do the same on the opposite side here. Just get your fingers on there like that, pulled over and around. This is that long tab I was talking about. So this looks like a part that could become stressed over time if you're not handling it carefully. So I would recommend handling this part of the transformation kind of delicately because you want to preserve this piece for sure. Now again, as far as delicate joints go, just note that this tab piece here is going to have to connect to this tail piece. You've got these internal slots here, so that's just basically going to pop around, over and around like that, and you'll do the same on the opposite side like so. And then you're essentially just lining those pieces up, and they'll connect pretty solidly like that. Now, to get them cleared out of the way, we're going to take these wings and fold them out sideways and then rotate them around 180 degrees, like so. There again, you've got this long tab and groove connection here, so these pieces are going to connect together. So you're just going to rotate that around. So this particular joint at the shoulder has a certain amount of mobility so that you can have it pivoted the wrong way. So if you have this piece hinged all the way forward, then basically it's not going to connect to that joint. So you're going to need to pull it out sideways, essentially get the shoulder up into that position, if that makes sense, and then it should pop in there pretty smoothly. So we'll get that lined up there, and then we'll just push it in like so. Same on the opposite side there again. Pull the shoulder up and over like so, and then you're going to pull that around and basically just line it up inside of that groove there like that. Once you get it lined up, then you can push it in just like so. Now to get the head out, we're going to pop the top on this lid here, and this piece will just open up like so. Then you can pull the head forward like so. Then as you're tilting it down, then you push it back in. And it does have kind of a tap and groove type connection here. So you're just going to slide that forward like so, and it'll pop into place there. And there again, just something to note, there are ways that you can mess up this transformation a little bit, and I've done a couple so far. Interestingly enough, for this particular wing, there are a couple of tab holes here, and they both serve a purpose. You just want to make sure you have this connected to the top piece. Otherwise, you'll have this wing up and over the backside, and that's not really what you want. So essentially, I'm going to correct this. So I fold just like so. There we go. And by the way, once you get these pieces rotated around 180 degrees, you don't have to wait to transform it all the way. The last step is essentially you're just going to push them in like that, and then they'll fold up against the side like so. And there again, I'm having to reverse my tracks just a little bit because I want to make sure I'm showing these transformation steps as cleanly as I can. So I'm going to separate these out again, just like so, because there is a particular way that the top half of this body has to come down onto the bottom half here. So, and here's what I'm talking about. I don't think this is shown quite clearly in the instructions, but you need to get this particular tab tab piece to go underneath inside that groove here. And at the same time, on the back half, you've got this groove back here, and that's going to connect to this tab right here. Essentially, if you've got everything lined up correctly, that piece is going to come down like so, and then that piece is going to connect to that groove. And this is why I wanted to separate the wings so you could see this. And then you're basically just going to push it down. So you're just going to push that down and get that tab to line up here. That piece is connected into that notch there. Check it on the opposite side. There again, that piece is in the notch. This is going into the tab. And then from here, you should just be able to push it down. And essentially, once you've got this piece in the slot here, and then that little tab inside of that groove here, I think you're good to go. Now, those of you who have a Lovegun and have transformed this a few times, feel free to shoot me down if you think this is wrong, but I think this is correct. That's as far as you want to go with it. You don't want to cram this piece any further down. This wheel part should be slightly above this orange piece right here. And there again, I could be wrong. This is my best understanding of how this is supposed to be transformed. So if you think this is a little bit off, or you think I missed a step or something like that, let me know with a comment. But as far as I could tell, this is correct. There again, we want to get the wings connected there just to have it folded up on the sides, just like so, like that, just like so. Bring the chest piece down, and that'll fold over and around. There is a tab and groove connection here. It'll connect like that, and there you go. That is Lovegun's bird mode. This is a funny figure. I have nothing but love for this Lovegun. Yeah, so it goes without saying, this is not the most sophisticated Beastbox in an era of sophisticated Beastboxes. I just did a review of Godspeed, and that is far and away one of the best Beastboxes that's ever been released, I think, as far as everything that you might look for in an animal that transforms into a cube. Lovegun is a different story. I've said it before, this is something that's obviously designed as a joke. It's a triple changer, and it's a bird that turns into a gun, but obviously being a Beastbox, it also has to transform into a cube, so some compromises or concessions have to be made. It kind of goes without saying. But taking a look around this thing, it has a lot of cool graphics and styling, and you got a lot of nice paint cues here. I mean, obviously you got these neon orange to keep kids from getting shot by cops, I guess, and keep 5-2 Toys from getting sued. You got some red, got some silver on here, obviously, and there's some gold accents here. It's very nicely styled, actually. You got the old classic kind of half moon eyes here, the cartoony eyes on it. So this is a little bit of throwback to their humorous days of their earlier figures, I think. Really some great design styling cues when you look for them. Love the kind of groove neck piece here. There's some nice sculpting work in here. And obviously you got the implied cylinder of a revolver here. That's pretty cool. Got a little bit of a dove symbol here. That's nice. Here it says capacity 6x 357 Magnum. So yes, this is supposed to be a 6-shot 357 Magnum. And obviously you got this little army kind of military helmet here. Again, you got stars and stripes there. Very nice. On this side it says Beastbox Tactical. I love this graphic. I don't know why, but I just think it's damn funny. It says S.W.E.E.T, and that is apparently an acronym for something, and handle with care in very, very small type. And of course, you got the bird faction symbol here. Yeah, just really nice styling cues all the way around. Just this overall color scheme, this red, white, and blue with neon accents on here. I think it's just very tastefully done, clever, and it's very funny. One thing I will point out, though, is you got this kind of fluorescent bright neon here, and if you look at it closely, it doesn't really match with the orange plastic, which isn't a huge deal, but there is definitely a mismatch here. As far as its articulation, there again, this piece was designed around the gun gimmick, so you're not getting a whole lot out of it. I mean, you do have some leg articulation, and obviously with the feet, because there's so many joints, there's a lot of different ways that you can pose and maneuver these. I will say you're definitely not getting this bird on a perch. There's no 3mm port on the bottom side here, nothing for it to connect to. Basically, your bird is going to be flat-footed no matter what you do with it, how you pose it. But all you can really do is put it on top of a box. It can rotate at the neck, so you got a little bit going on there, so you can give it a little bit of attitude if you wanted to. Looking left, he's looking right, he's looking forward. He's got his eyes on his target. And there is a little bit of implied articulation with its arms, so you can pull these out. And there again, because these are kind of on a double joint, so you can rotate them out sideways and then get those wings up flapping, something like that. So if you wanted to, you could give them a little bit of attitude like that. And you can, of course, kick the legs back if you've got them in sort of an implied flight mode. I guess that kind of works. But beyond that, that's about it. I mean, this thing is really for show. It's not really in and of itself an action figure. But I can tell you one thing for sure. It is a whole lot of fun to play around with. One way or the other, we're going to do the final transformation into its gun mode. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the feet and we're going to rotate them over to the side and then down like so. Do the same on the opposite side there, over to the side and down. Then we're going to rotate this piece around 180 degrees, like so, on both sides. And we'll get the feet together in a sort of a praying position. Yeah, essentially you're kind of going for that. They're not totally going to clasp together right now, but it'll come together eventually. If you get them in about that orientation, you're good to go to the next step. So the bird's head is essentially the revolver's cocking mechanism. So we're going to take that, rotate it around like so, and that essentially covers the eyes. Now we're going to take this chest piece, pull it out like so, bring it up and over, and then we're going to rotate the head down like so. So it'll come up and away from the body. Then that frees up the back half to pull forward and up like so. So you got about that going on right here. Now for the tail piece, we're going to rotate these up and over like that, and then rotate them around into their interior folded position like so. So we're going to rotate that up and over. And there again, it's a tab and notch mechanism here, so you just want to make sure you have that lined up. They're going to connect together like that. Now at this point, because these pieces are going to have to connect together to form the barrel, you want to make sure you have this piece pulled out. This is a transformation trick that 5.2 Toys has used on one or two other figures. So now to get a more clear view of what we're going to do here, we're going to flip this over so we can manipulate the barrel here. We're going to pull these pieces out like so. And then on each half, we're going to rotate that around 180 degrees, over and down like that. And then from here, note the alignment of this center piece here that's rotating. So we're going to rotate this piece up and over until it becomes flat like that. And then we'll rotate this piece down just to get it a little bit out of the way. So then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to rotate each side over like that so that this piece is essentially lined up with this flat side here. So we'll just want to make sure that's lined up. And there again, you have these big opposing tabs here, and you're just going to fold them around and over just like so. And then all these pieces are going to lock in together. So you've got these opposing tabs here. And there again, that's why it's critical for this tab to be rotated out from the body. And then you're essentially just going to sandwich them together just like so. So just push them together, work our way down. There we go. And it pushes together just like so. So you may need to scrunch it just a little bit just to get the seam cleaned up. As far as the head, there's a couple things going on here. So you got this tab that's going to have to fit inside of that groove, and then the neck is going to have to be pushed in. So you're going to fold that down and get it lined up like that, and you're going to push this piece in like so, and you're going to connect it just like that. As far as the barrel, this is another part that's going to take a particular alignment here. So there's essentially this little tab right here, and that's going to fit inside that groove. So you're going to rotate that around like so, and then push that in, and then get that lined up essentially like that. So it doesn't really push in, but you're pretty much getting that tab inside that groove, if that makes sense. Now, as far as the bird legs, we're just going to rotate those up and over, and they'll fit inside this space just like so. Now we're going to pull the wings apart again. So we're going to pop them out like so. We're going to pull them aside here and rotate them around 180 degrees or roughly thereabouts, essentially so the interior of the wing is facing up. Then we'll fold these feather tips in just like so, just to compact that up and around like that. And if you don't have it in that position already, you're going to want to make sure the slider piece is pushed into the up position. So just push that up like so. Do the same on the opposite side. So the next step is you're going to want to get this post connected to the interior of the half of the barrel here. So there's a little bit of maneuvering that needs to happen here, and that has to do with this red pivoting joint. So we're going to rotate that forward like so, bring that around like that, and got it lined up on that side. We'll do the same on the opposite side, rotate it forward, and it'll push in just like so. Almost there. Now for the final stretch here, we got some clever bits of transforming pieces here. Basically, you're going to pop these pieces out, fold them to the sides here. This tail piece here is going to fold up and in and get tucked out of the way there. And then from here, you're going to take these pieces, these little thin gray, dark gray or black panels, fold them out like that on each side, and they're on sliders. So you're just going to slide it out like so. Same on the other side. And you're going to want to rotate them all the way around so that they're facing opposite to the interior of the piece here. Now these tip pieces here are going to rotate around and slide into that tab here. So that's just going to fold up and over like so. Just like that on the opposite side here. Then we're going to fold these pieces around and over, and they've got intermeshing teeth here, so they're going to connect together. Just want to get them lined up and then push them together like that. Then when you've got these connected solidly together, you're just going to rotate them around and over. And that's going to push up inside this piece here. And you have the trigger and the gun just like that. This is a fun little piece. I got to tell you, I really love this transformation. Just the overall gimmick of this bird that turns into a gun and also into a box. I get a kick out of this particular piece. I think it's, well, obviously it's one of a kind, but I think it's freaking hilarious. So what are we looking at here? It's a little bitty gun, obviously. Not fit for an adult hand, probably not even quite a kid's hand, but definitely not an adult size hand. But, you know, it does have ergonomically enough going on there, so you really got kind of 3 fingers that you can manipulate with. You can grip it with these. And then, of course, you can get your finger on what's the, I guess, implied trigger. So you definitely got something to play around with here. It's, I think it's hilarious. You got the cocking mechanism here, so you can reload, bang, bang, bang. And overall, it has some great styling. I have zero doubt that 5.2 Toys had to get a neon tip put on here just to be able to safely get this thing in the hands of customers around the world, because a lot of gun regulations and whatnot, I'm sure, from everywhere. Even here in the US, you know, we have child safety laws because you kids can't have a gun these days that look a little too realistic. There have been a few incidents of kids like after dark playing guns or something, and a cop thinks it's a real gun and they turn around and shoot the kid. That has literally happened, so I have no doubt that 5.2 Toys had to consult with some lawyers and whatnot and basically figure out how they can get this joke made. So there again, this started as a joke a couple of years ago as an April Fool's joke. There's no doubt to me that it took them that long to get all the regulations and whatnot ironed out so that they could get this thing out to market. And man, I'm glad they did, because it's such a good piece. This is so funny. Got some great graphics on here too, by the way. So you got Love Peace right here. There again, 357 Magnum Beastbox Military. Sweet. And yes, obviously it's a tiny little gun, but like I said before, it does fit in my hand comfortably here, as long as you do a 3-finger grip. There's not enough pistol grip here, obviously, to do it with 5 fingers, so it's a great little piece. They did an awesome job on this for sure. I love it. So one other thing I want to point out here is there's no way to display this, at least out of the box, as far as I know. So you're kind of going to have to get creative with how you display it. So we got these cartridge inserts, and it looks like 3 is going to work here. Yeah, so you could prop it up like that if you wanted to. And interestingly enough, I'm just now discovering this. That's pretty cool. The pegs here line up perfectly with these holes, so you can actually prop it up just like that. So that's one option if you wanted to. Let's see what that looks like with one of these popped open here. Yeah, for the most part, that seems to work okay. So that's one option you have to display this. Don't know that this was necessarily deliberate, but it's very cool that these pieces line up like that. So there again, 3 Beastbox cartridge inserts. Got the tabs here, pop it on there, lines up perfectly. That's not too bad. And of course, you can always just do it the lowbrow route and just have it leaning like that. That works fine too. One way or the other, I do think this is a neat little gun. This is a very well executed figure. Now it's time to give this bang bang shoot 'em up lovey-dovey bird gun a box grade. This is my rating system of 6 categories of 5 points each for a total score of anything from 0 to 30 points. Lovegun is an example of 5.2 Toys doing what they do best. As beast boxes go, this is a one-of-a-kind release. For one, yeah, it's purpose-built around assault mode, but more importantly, a deal where 5.2 Toys literally pulled a prank on their fans. 5 out of 5. Lovegun has a fun transformation with charming character and gun modes as well as its box mode, and again it really is a novelty figure. It doesn't really have much going for it as far as interactive capability with other figures. For example, no accessory ports, doesn't appear to have a straightforward way to stand up the gun mode for display, and the bird mode is pretty limited. But it is a one-of-a-kind triple changer, and the additional play value warrants an easy 5 out of 5. Transformation is a little bit challenging, but definitely not frustrating. 5.2 Toys rated this a 3-star difficulty, and in my opinion, it's closer to 3.5, maybe 4 stars. Unsurprisingly, there's a little bit of flex in its box mode because of all of the thin panels, and I found it to be a bit of a snug fit on most sides in its Boxcharger. One way or the other, you've got to give 5.2 Toys credit for this thing. Somehow, they pulled off making a figure take the shape of a bird, a gun, and a 2-inch cube. 4 out of 5. It's definitely designed to be a novelty piece, so articulation did take a backseat to the gimmick. You can rotate the head, the legs can be posed somewhat, and the wing articulation would best be described as implied. The gun mode doesn't have a trigger action, but to be fair, I don't know how that would have been possible. 2 out of 5. Lovegun is built well enough for what it is, but there are a lot of thin, and in some cases, necessarily interlocking panels, so I'd have to question its durability over time. It's not quite janky, but definitely not what I'd term a solid feeling figure. 3 out of 5. What Lovegun lacks in relation to standard beast boxes, it more than makes up for this as a standalone piece that you want to keep picking it up and fiddling around with. I had a lot of fun messing around with Lovegun. This figure is a blast. 5 out of 5. Circling back a bit, I want to drive home the point that the execution of this figure is 5.2 Toys doing what they do best. Their playfulness and designing toys around their great sense of humor, which is something I don't think you see very often in the toy industry. They took something that started as a joke and turned it into something that you can buy and play with. With that in mind, I think both the character and the fun factor are on a whole other level, so I'm awarding each category a bonus point for a total score of 26 out of 30. So there's a look at BB-76 Lovegun. This one has been a long time in the making, and definitely the first time in my life that I can think of where a toy maker started off not with a product design idea or some long-term strategy for their toy line, but as a prank. And that is what I love about 5T Toys. Their incredible sense of humor and that unheard of level of interaction with their fans. The Beastbox line keeps improving and getting more sophisticated, but I do hope they keep putting out funny stuff like this one. As always, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch this video, and I hope you'll stick with me. I've got a lot more to come. Please take a moment to leave a like or a comment, or the usual social stuff. I'll catch you in the next one.
Sweet.